And I think one of the biggest changes that often gets overlooked just because there's so much excitement about the players changing. This is a whole new coaching staff.
Yeah.
Dean, how do you think the Senators did in their coaching hires? Like, do you think that they found the right guy and found the right assistants to support him to take that next step? Or from what you know around the league and all your connections, how do you feel about Travis Green being the next head coach for the Ottawa Senators?
Well, number one, I don't know because I don't know how they'll be as a staff because a staff like a team, some of them know each other, some of them don't, and they all bring different skill sets, and that's the reason that they're here. But like anything else, you don't know what the chemistry is going to be, and you don't know what the environment's going to be until you get into it and see how they perform. I don't know Travis Green other than when he was a player and having been around when he's been interviewed a couple of times. I don't know him, but from everybody that I talk to, the number one thing they start with when they talk about Travis Green is accountability. And a couple of guys said to me, it's interesting. They said, I'm not sure Travis would have appreciated being treated and asked questions and been as demanding when he was a player as he is as a coach. In other words, I'm not sure that he would have enjoyed a coach like him coaching himself.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know that, but I've had a number of people tell me that he's very big on everybody's part of the same group. There's no sacred cows, which I think everybody likes to hear. That everybody likes to know that that doesn't mean that everybody's ice time is going to be the same. It's not a democracy. It's but I think everybody likes to know that everybody's going to be treated the same, and that everybody's going to be accountable. I think everybody likes that. And the players who haven't faced that in the past, they probably don't like it all that much because who doesn't like getting to do what you want to do when you want to do it? But so we'll see how that goes. But I'm anxious to see how this whole thing evolves too, because it, like this roster, is also going to be an evolving thing, and I find that exciting to watch. Change is not to be feared; change is to be expected. So, when you're not winning in this league, there's going to be changes, and now we all get to see how those changes grow and what they turn into.
The one constant, I guess, too, Ben Sexton will be back, but Daniel Alfredsson staying on board. Was that something that, based on how you saw from afar, how he was kind of rolling in after coming in December, that's something you kind of expected that he'd want to be back next season?
I didn't know. I have to be honest. I really didn't know, Ross, because a lot of time, and it's not that they're lazy. Don't get me wrong. It's not that they're lazy, but in my experience, former players really have no clue how much work it is being a coach, how many hours it is being a coach, how much time you spend breaking down film, getting meetings organized. When players have a day off, the Coaches Association is not a union. The players have mandatory days off. The coaches don't. So lots of times when the players are at home doing whatever they're doing, the coaches are still at the office doing their thing. And you just never know which players are willing to live that lifestyle, because it's a ton of time. It's a huge commitment. And I'm not certain that Alfie would be as enthused about it, and he's enthused about it. I'm not sure he'd be as enthused about it if his kids were still young, but his kids are now grown up and off doing things and stuff like that. So he has more time. But he really dug into it. And I think Alfie was a bit surprised too, how much he enjoyed it. But, after the season was over, I respect the fact that he wanted to, meet with Beebe and find out if this is something they wanted to continue to do. And he had to look back and think, is this one I want to keep doing? Because it is a huge commitment. It's not just showing up at the rink and blowing a whistle. So it's a good thing, because there's lots of former players who find out very quickly, you know what, that's not for me. I'm not digging putting in 70. My family's not digging me putting 70, 80 hours a week. And it's just that lifestyle's not for me. So he knows what the lifestyle is now, and he dug into it. He was all in. He was not peripheral. And his family is with him on that. So I think it's good. I think it's good for him and his family. But I got to say, I wasn't positive, because even when you're talking to Alfie, and I've known him a long time, and we have very frank discussions, it's really good, and he's open with Gordon and I. But Alfie's always one of those guys where you never know what Alfie really thinks. Alfie's Alfie, so you never know. And he's going to do exactly what he wants to do. He's not going to be swayed by anybody else. He is very strong-minded and very strong-willed about what he wants to do and how he wants to do it.
Yeah, Ross and I always say just let Daniel Alfredsson be the Daniel Alfredsson of the Ottawa Senators. You don't need to give him a title. You don't need to tell him he needs to be here doing this day for this long or whatever. Just let him do what he wants. It's amazing just to have him around for the players too.
You know what, guys, really, if you see the dynamic at practice, the value of Daniel, I think, is not just that he can run a drill or that he's Daniel Alfredsson or guys. It's skating around, tooling around before practice, and a guy will come up to him and you'll see Daniel showing him for a minute about how to protect the puck with your hip when you're turning the corner on a defenseman. Little tiny thing like that. How he talks to guys about their sticks. Well, the lie of your stick, and you can see him out there talking, and Daniel's very much a lie and angle guy on your stick, and defenseman's stick should be different than forwards. And you'll see him out there talking, and it's all those, it's an accumulation of all those tiny little things. Brady spent a lot of time with him last year on puck protection. And when I'm turning my body and where do I, and Alfie's spending time before and after practice with all the guys with little things like that. Not the big things, but all the little tiny things. And I remember several times sitting in the stands, some of the players, including guys like Sanderson, who were playing keep away after practice with Danielson. It's a kid's game, but it's probably one of the best little games that he always played with guys, and especially the guys who are considered quote unquote lower skilled. It improves their stick skills. It improves their anticipation. Chris Neil used to spend hours playing keep away with Alfie, and it made Chris Neil a better player. So not any great big huge thing. Alfie does this. Alfie does a million little things that make every player a better player in many little ways. And I personally think that's probably his greatest value. You're right. I agree with you. He doesn't need to be in charge of the power play or the penalty kill or in charge of this to have a big impact on this team. Being Alfie and doing those little things, that is being Alfie. That is what he does. That is what he is an expert at. And there's no player that's not going to listen to him. You're sitting there getting a small tip about an important thing from a Hall of Famer. Even if you weren't old enough to watch him play in his prime, you know who's in the Hall of Fame. No one gets there by accident. So I totally agree with you that the being Alfie thing is the most important thing.
Yeah, I mean, we even saw that with Vancouver adding Adam Foote and Sergei Gonchar to their staff. It just adds that level of, whoa, these guys know what they're doing. They've been there, they've done that, and demand that level of respect.